Hello guys, Willem Pets here. So yesterday there was a planned protest in which the ANC, South African Communist Party, COSATO and SANCO were to give a memorandum to the US Embassy and specifically the US Ambassador Lana Marks, in which they expressed their disdain for the US assassinating the Iranian General Qassem Soleimani. Now this protest turned quite a bit south when members of the protest, or actually the leader of the protest, who incidentally is also the leader of the South African Communist Party, started to chant "One American, one bullet," which is basically a version of the "One settler, one bullet" that are usually being chanted in South Africa to threaten the lives of white South Africans. All of this comes right after, just a few days ago, the American ambassador Lana Marks tweeted out how vibrant the democracy is in South Africa and how wonderful the government of South Africa is. I will read you the exact tweet later in this video. She also went on to Kyknet Verslag with Waldemar Pelser and also talked about how wonderful South Africa's government is. We will also take a look at that later in this video. First, let's talk about who the South African Communist Party and COSATO is. Now, as you all know, the ANC is the ruling party of South Africa. But when people vote for the ANC, they actually don't vote for just the ANC. They vote for the so-called tripartite alliance, which is the ANC, the South African Communist Party, as well as COSATO, the South African Confederation of Trade Unions. And this is the party that actually rules over South Africa, is the combination of these three. Now all of these parties put their names onto the memorandum that was given to the US Embassy. Let's take a look at the video where they actually threaten the lives of Americans and wish death upon them. Take a look at them shouting or chanting "One American, one bullet" right here.
Bullet, one American. One bullet, one American. Now, cowards, criticizing the indigenous people of the area with the America. Their master thought was India.
Mere days before this protest, Lana Marks, the ambassador from the US, tweeted the following on Twitter: "Nowhere has Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy been more visible than in the transformation of South Africa into a vibrant democracy. I consider it a privilege to be here, and I hope my work will always be a testament to his memory." Now let's start by saying that anyone who has a little bit of knowledge about South Africa knows that things are not going well here at the moment. We are the rape capital of the world. We have a significantly high number of murders, 60 per day. The economy has been downgraded to junk status by 2 out of 3 of the credit rating agencies in the world, and the third one downgraded the country to the brink of junk status. The economy is looking down. The growth forecast of the World Bank says that South Africa's growth will be less than 0.8% for the next few years. And things are really not looking up. It's a disaster that's going on here in South Africa. Also what happened here was that Lana Marks went onto Waldemar Pelser's program on Kyknet Verslag, and said the following about South Africa and its government.
Tomorrow there'll be a protest march to the US Embassy, protesting against the strike against Qassem Soleimani in Iran. And of course, South Africa is one of the 10 countries that most often vote against the US, or not with the US at least, at the UN. Yes. What do you make of that?
However, the new response has changed, and that is quite measured compared to previous. So we're very pleased about that.
What kind of change have you seen?
The response has been a lot more measured than it has been in the past.
So a more positive response from Pretoria to the US?
Yes, 100%. And in many respects, and just in the last 2 months that I've been here, I've seen extraordinary friendship across the board with everybody that I've met with. everybody.
Ambassador, so several Western ambassadors, excluding the US ambassador, this position was not filled, were called to the red carpet last year for confronting President Ramaphosa about some constraints that foreign ambassadors saw in investment in South Africa, problems with corruption,
Yes.
and the slow pace of reform. You have said that you have much faith in President Ramaphosa's reform agenda. Why do you say that you have faith?
I think that he won in a democratic process. I think he surrounded himself with a core of terrific ministers, and I think that augurs well for the future. I understand there's been all kind of rhetoric over the last few days, but I have tremendous faith in him. I really do.
So there you have it. On the one hand, we have this ambassador saying all these very, very nice things about South Africa's government, and literally the next day, the governing party of South Africa and its allies pitch up at the US Embassy and chant for the death of Americans. This just shows you how disconnected America, and especially it seems to be the left in America, is from the realities in South Africa. Now, what happened to this US ambassador in South Africa over the last days, and when the people pitched up to her embassy to call for basically her death as well as all of the other Americans, is probably the most spectacular way in which anyone has made a fool out of themselves in South Africa for the last decade, I would say. One day you are talking about how vibrant the democracy is here and how wonderful the South African government is, and the next day this happens. That is South Africa for you. Goodbye and God bless.